All right, so this is our Mission 6 Part 1 review. You, of course, will have a digital copy. So let's go ahead and just start off by looking at this first slide. So you're going to write the following fractions as equivalent decimals. Then you're going to model each decimal with the given representation. So you are going to use these pieces and you are going to fill in the diagram here so that you show 8/10, and then you're going to write 8/10 as a decimal. Go ahead and try this first one on your own. All right, so if you fill this in with pieces, and I'm just gonna use a highlighter, you should have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So I have 8/10, and when I write that as a decimal, it is 0.8. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own. 4/10, you're going to write it as a decimal and show what it'll look like here. All right, so you should have 4 right here. And you should have 4/10. Go ahead and try this one, 94 hundredths as a decimal and filled in here. Well, 94 hundredths, so you'd use these and these little individual ones. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 94 hundredths. So that will look like a 9 in the 10ths place and a 4 in the hundredths place. One more. We have 7 hundredths. Write it as a decimal and show it here. All right. I have 7 hundredths. Let's go ahead and color that in. 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 7 hundredths, not 7/10. So I'm only coloring in 7 little squares. And since this is 7 hundredths, the 7 goes here. This is the 10ths place. This is the hundredths place. My 7 is going to go here. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. So the next slide has the same directions, except for this time, you are going to label this fraction on this number line with a dot, and you may have to do a little bit of estimation, and you're going to write what it would look like as a decimal. Go ahead and try this first one on your own. Okay, so I have 2 and 95 hundredths. If I look at my number line that I've been given, it goes in between 2 and 3. And it's been split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. So each of these is going to represent 1/10, okay? Or 10 hundredths, however you want to think about it, because 1/10 is equal to 10 hundredths, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place it on here. Obviously, it's greater than 2. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my dot right in the middle between 90 hundredths and 100 hundredths. So I have 2 and 95 hundredths. And as a decimal, this would be 2 because 2 is my whole number, decimal point, 9 because I have a 9 in the 10ths place, and 5 for my 5 hundredths. Go ahead and try this one on your own. I need a decimal and I need a dot on the number line. All right, so this one is 7 to 8. I have 7 and 52 hundredths. It looks like it's split into tenths or into tenths, yeah, just like the other one is. So I'm going to go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since I have 52, I'm going to go just a little bit past the 5. And I'm going to have the decimal of 7 and 52 hundredths. All right, one more that is asking the same thing. So we have 1, 1, and 3/10. I want to know what that looks like as a decimal, and then I want you to show me what it would look like in a place value chart. Go ahead and try that on your own. Okay, so I have 1 and 3/10. Okay, so 1 is my whole number, and then I have 3/10. So that's 1, 3/10. So I have a 1 and then 3/10. Boom. Done. And of course you would use these dots to do that. All right, let's go ahead and try this one now. So I have 2/10 and 3/100. Give me a decimal and show me what it looks like on this chart. Okay, so I have 2/10 and 3/100. I'm going to put that on the other side of the decimal point because I have 0 ones and 23 hundredths because I have 2/10 and 3/100. So when I write that on my place value chart, I have 2/10 and 3/100. There we go. All right, moving on. We have this chart here, and let's go ahead and see if we can take this one line at a time. All right, so this is a chart. All these boxes need to be filled in, and you're going to take them one piece at a time. So you're going to take a number line. You're going to write it in decimal form, mixed number, expanded form, fraction, or decimal form. I don't care whichever you choose. And how many you would mean to get to the next one, so the next whole number. So this is 3 9/10. You will need to label this number line on your own. In between, all of these number lines have been broken up into tenths, so keep that in mind. Go ahead and try this first row on your own. All right, so I've been told that I have 3 9/10 here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start by putting this in decimal form, 3 9/10. And I agree, one more tenth would get us to 4. So I'm going to go ahead and label my number line between 3 and 4. And my dot would go right here because this would be 9/10. So I have 3 9/10. Now I have expanded form. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to write over these. So I have 3 times 1 plus 9 times 1/10 plus, well, that's it actually. 3 plus 9 times 1/10. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and look at this next one. So we've had the number line. They've done that one for us, and you have to fill in everything else. So you're going to have to figure out what that decimal is. Go ahead and try that on your own. All right, so I know that my number is in between 17 and 18. I know that this is split up into tenths, so I'm just going to count the tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 17 and 5/10. That looks like 17 and 5/10. I'm going to put this in expanded form. So I have 1 times 10 plus 7 times 1 plus 5 times 1/10. And I chose to write it in decimal form this time. So to get from 17 and 5/10 to 18, I would need 5 more tenths. All right, let's go ahead and do C. You need to place the decimal, you need to plot on the number line, give me decimal form, mixed number. You've been given expanded form, so that's how you're going to identify what the number is, and tell me how much to the next one. Go ahead and do C on your own. All right, so if I look here, I see that I have 7 times 10, which gives me 70, plus 4 times 1 is 4, plus 7 times 10 is 7/10. So I have 74 and 7/10. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that right here, 74 and 7/10. As a decimal, that would be 74.7. All right, and then to get to the next whole number, I would need 3/10 because 7 plus 3 would bring me up to 75. All right, so now I need to plot this on my number line. I'm going to go in between 74 and 75. And let's see. This is in tenths, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, so I've got 74 and 7/10. Now, if I was looking at this and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much it takes to get to the next one, I could always look at my number line and count 1, 2, 3 tenths and use that to help me figure it out. All right, so let's go ahead and do D. You need to do the number line, decimal form. You've been given mixed number form. You need expanded form, and tell me how much to the next whole number. Go ahead and try D. All right, 22 2/10. I'm going to write that in decimal form, 22.2. Let's go ahead and get it on the number line. So it'll be in between 22 and 23. That would be 2/10. All right, let's put this in expanded form. So I've got 2 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10. All right. And then to get to the next one, I'd need 8 more tenths. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and look at E. You need to do the number line, decimal form, mixed number, and tell me how much to get to the next one. Go ahead and try that on your own. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this expanded form and figure out what the number is. So 8 times 10 is 80, plus 8 times 1/10, well, that would be 8/10. So I have the number 80 and 8/10. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in our decimal form. And let's go ahead and write it as a fraction too. Could also write this as 80 and 80 hundredths. Just depends on what tickles my fancy because they're all equivalent. So I'm going to go in between 80 and 81 here. I have 80 and 8/10, so that'll be 0.2 or 2/10 away from 81. All right, so on these next ones, you just need to fill in the blanks. 3/100 is equal to what as a decimal, and how many hundredths is it? Go ahead and try this one on your own. All right, 3/100 is equal to 0.03, and it's equal to 3/100. Same thing here. You have this decimal, write it as a fraction, write it as hundredths. Go ahead and try that on your own. All right, so this is 72 hundredths, so I would literally write 72 hundredths. And as a fraction, I would write 72 over 100. All right, taking a look here, you need to give me the fraction, the decimal. Here it is in word form. All right, so let's go ahead and see that this is 7/10 and 2 hundredths. Okay, so 72 over 100. All right, that is your review. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and you'll take the test next.